Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and get the meeting called to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to our fourth meeting that we've had referencing our reapportionment process. We have three of the commission members here tonight. My name is Dave Knapp. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Sharon Moran. I'm Dustin Zarn.
And so this meeting tonight is to hear from you. We have two proposed maps right now. We have map 1 and map 2, as you can see they're labeled. So we're here to hear what your thoughts are on these proposals, to get your feedback, so we can, as we're putting these things together, know what folks are thinking and take it from there. So anyway, the format's very, very simple. I'll just call your name. Please come up here and give us your thoughts, and then we'll move on to the next person. I think we've got 11 speakers planned so far.
And Dave, you're
Yes.
seeing 4 because there's the county and then there's the blow up of the city. And then again, the county for map 2 and the blow up of the city.
Okay, thanks for the clarification on that. Yep, so county, city, map 1 version, county, city, map 2 version. So, so just call you up. We've got 11 speakers. If you can keep your comments, 3 to 5 minutes, we appreciate it. And we'll start with Dave Callahan.
This is what I get for coming early. I'm the first one. Thank you for letting us all speak here. As they say, my name is Dave Callahan, and I've been a resident of Camillus for over 50 years. And I've been the Deputy Town Supervisor for 11. We've truly seen the benefits of having 3 representatives or legislators in our town. 3 advocates for Camillus has been a wonderful thing for us, and has helped us throughout the years. One of the legislators covers the village of Camillus and the village of Gagne, as well as part of the town. Another one has, and don't forget, villages have different issues than what towns have, and that's very important. So they zero in on what those villages need. Another one, our second legislator, covers the rural part of Camillus, and then there's another part of Camillus that closely ties in with the town of Onondaga. I'd be remiss if I didn't say there's benefits of having 3 people represent Camillus. Also, too, the town of Camillus has the ward system, for those of you who may or may not know that. The ward system divides our town into 6 districts. And we have a counselor for each district. And that counselor is not like a at-large person. We have a constituency of about 1/6 of the town of Camillus residents. So we represent those people. I wouldn't get called to do something in the 1st ward because I have people that I represent in the 6th ward, for instance. That really works because you know who's responsible for your area, and that would be me in the 6th ward. And if you can't get any satisfaction out of me, well, then I guess you'd go to the supervisor. But we're responsible for, about 1,250 homes and, roughly 1/6 the population, which is be about 4,000 people. So it's a monumental job, but that's the advantage of having 3 legislators cover the town of Camillus, because they can represent you in a lot of special ways that one person may not have that same interest in the entire town of Camillus. So that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah. Forgive me if I misread your handwriting. Joyce.
Placido.
Thank you.
It is my hand.
Only Joyce on the list.
There we go. Easy, huh?
Oh, excuse me, I'll take care of that.
Oh, I got it.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to have these kind of forums because I always tell my students we learn from each other. So, something I think I understand and I hear from somebody else and then you learn something. I'm still studying the maps. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the process. So my name is Joyce Schmidt Placido. I'm here with my husband, Richard Cordes. We have a Syracuse address, but we live just inside the town of Onondaga. We both lived in various addresses in this county, including DeWitt and Lysander, different times. But now we're town of Onondaga, technically. For myself, this is the learning process, too. I began being more involved in the community when my children were teens, but I noticed no matter how the demographics of the area fluctuated, or how many registered voters were added, the result was almost always the same. Nothing seemed to really change that much as far as the elected officials. And I found out more recently it was because of partisan district voting maps. Again, a learning experience. In a way, I felt a little insulted to think that no matter what we do, when we vote, we may not have a voice. And the rush to push through similar maps, I believe, will impact upcoming voters for a decade. And I brought up my adult children to be aware of what's going on and to vote. And it would be awful for them to learn that their vote may not count. And we should insist on a methodical, fair process from our leaders. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Justin Colley.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp, members of the commission, for letting me speak today and comment on this. I'm a father in the town of Onondaga. I'm a husband in the town of Onondaga. I've lived there for about 6 years now. My wife has lived there almost her entire life. She's had her family live there, and we're now 4 generations living in the town of Onondaga, specifically in Nedrow. I had a couple different things I wanted to say. I wasn't really sure exactly what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it, but I want to get to the point of why I have a problem with specifically map 2. And knowing that I live in Nedrow, I think you know where I'm going. Nedrow was split by the second map. And Nedrow is a community that is a very proud community. It's a working class community. It's not a wealthy community. But we share a lot in common. And Chairman Knapp, you were quoted in the newspaper, and I don't want to misquote you, I don't want to say anything out of line, but you had a criticism of Commissioner Zargi's proposed map, saying that there were, the southern portion in his map. There were connections that, these two groups don't have anything in common. The people in the southern portion, southeastern portion don't really have anything in common with the Skinny Atlas area. Well, I would argue by splitting Nedrow in half, that the people in South Nedrow have anything in common with the folks of the village of Manlius, with the folks in the village of Fabius. At least any more common than the folks in North Nedrow. To separate Nedrow in the way that it is in this map is perplexing. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. When I look at my neighbors, my friends, who I've talked to in the last 24 hours since these maps came out, they're perplexed. They don't understand why the split happened. And we'd like at least answers. At least some sort of explanation of why they were split in the way that they were. I do have an issue as well. With the idea that we're looking at about 28,000, 29,000 people per district. Right? That's the rough amount that we've estimated. And there's going to be circumstances where we have to split towns. That has to happen. It has to happen in Clay. We know that. There's 60,000 people in Clay. That has to be split more than likely 3 ways. It just has to happen. But there are towns, especially the medium-sized towns. I'm talking the DeWitts. I'm talking the Camilluses. I'm talking Onondaga, which have just under but we've split that. We've cut that 4 ways. The town of DeWitt, I used to live in DeWitt, was split 4 different ways. And DeWitt has 26,000 people. That's 2,000 short. And it was split 4 ways. It's also a pretty democratic town. And it was split 4 ways. Other towns were more preserved. So when I'm looking at this, the biggest suggestion I would make is preserving the municipalities whenever possible. Whenever possible. It can't be done every single time. It can't. We know that. Population is not going to allow it. But the people of DeWitt identify as living in DeWitt. People in Camillus identify as living in Camillus. The people in the town of Onondaga, the people in my neighborhood in Edgewood, identify with that. And that commonality is important. And it's important to be represented by our representatives. And I had a little more that I wanted to say. I'm going to cut it short. Because I really wanted to, again, get to the really gist of what I really wanted to say here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Next, Lillian Wellett. Okay. Diane Doyle.
Everybody can hear me okay. Sometimes with the mask, this gets muffled. And Dave, I just want to say 2 things. Is, you know, when I was on the Camillus Town Board, I really liked the ward system here because I had 1,700 homes and we have a responsibility for that district. But I always felt serving on the town board, I was responsible for the whole town. And I think that's this way that I've always tried to act for the whole town. But I have to differ with the fact of having 3 county ledge people representing the town of Camillus, because there's only 1 county ledge person that I ever see. And I get a little tired. It seems like it flip-flops. 10 years ago, we had 4 people, and there was only 1 county legislator that I ever saw. At that time, DeWitt had 3. They seem to flip-flop us. So I have a serious problem with the constantly being split up. Both of us are under the 28,000 people that you're looking at to have approximately for a district. But a few other things too is that I think you mentioned Clay. And Clay, technically, that one of the proposals is to have 4 county legislators there. But basically, the 4th county legislator is only because 1 election district is in 1 place. But yet Clay has actually over twice the number of people that we have here in Camillus, and actually twice the number of people in DeWitt. And I feel sorry for Geddes. Geddes, it has 3 county legislators, and they only have 17,000 people. Now, the other concern I have, Manlius, if I'm, looking at the maps and the population from the census, Manlius had 3 county legislators the last time. That has a population of over 33,000, once again greater than any of the other towns that I've mentioned except for Clay, and they're being reduced to 2 county legislative districts. It just seems a little inconsistent. So I have some really problems with that. And that's the specifics that I have, that I've had time to really evaluate with the maps and the census data and everything. But also, it's been said at many of the other meetings, I'm really disturbed. We're in the middle of an election. It's next Tuesday, and this could have waited. There was no reason to start this early. And I've been at most of the redistricting meetings, or I think I've actually been at all of them. And there was a question whether it was in 3 months or 6 months. Regardless of whether it was in 3 months, we could have easily started this process after the election on November 2nd and still had it, the maps drawn in the 3-month time period that I understand by the charter, which because of the law that was passed at the state may or may not have an effect. But I think, remember, these districts will not be implemented and won't apply until the year of 2023. And I think this is still 2021. Sometimes I might get a little confused that I've gone to the next year. But we're talking we had a lot of time to really look at this, to evaluate it, and I really feel bad. I saw the video from Lafayette, and they didn't even have maps. So that just, to me, seems a little unfair for somebody to really even respond. All they could talk about is the process, and the process, I think, was flawed. And it's unfortunate that we had to do it this way, because it could have been a little more nonpartisan, really coming together and working on it after the election when everybody wasn't running crazy. Because as you know, we have local elections and city elections. Thank you.
So next is Art and Joan Johnson. I'm not sure if you both wanted to speak or want one.
I'm going to take my mask off because I can't see and read at the same time. Oh, excuse me. My name is Joan Johnson, and I have been a resident of Onondaga County for over 50 years. I have followed the redistricting process for the last 3 cycles beginning in 2000. Looking through my files on redistricting efforts, I found a copy of a press release submitted by the county legislature's Republican caucus dated July 7, 2020, after a proposal for a nonpartisan redistricting commission, local law C, by legislator Chad Ryan was turned down by the Republican majority. I would like to read this press release, and I have had copies for the commissioners. You have them? You have them? Onondaga County Legislature Republican Caucus dated July 7, 2020. County Legislature votes down costly commission. Onondaga County Republican legislators are committed to strengthening the county's existing independent reapportionment commission. Legislators voted against local law C because it is too complicated, too bureaucratic, too expensive, and it is an example of taxation without representation. The Republican caucus made a pledge to strengthen the nonpartisan nature of redistricting. Contrary to media reports, legislators did not pledge to support local law C. The Fair Maps pledge stated, "I pledge my support for nonpartisan and independent redistricting in the county of Onondaga. If elected, I will work to ensure fair and representative county legislature districts." We have heard the concerns and agree that there is room for improvement. We will propose legislation that will recommend the floor leaders and the county executive appoint individuals that are not registered in one of the major parties, ban former or current elected officials and party committee members from serving on the commission, prohibit incumbency from being considered in the formation of any legislative district, encourage public proposals for the commission to review from citizens and/or civic groups, improve public participation and input by increasing to at least 5 public hearings during the Reapportionment Commission's process at various times and locations across the county. Accept applications from Onondaga County citizens that would like to be appointed to the commission. Recommend that the chair of the Reapportionment Commission be one of the appointees from the county executives or floor leaders. Many of the proposed changes offered in this press release need confirmation, including the following. Do the floor leaders and the county executives' appointments to the commission belong to one of the 2 major political parties? Remember, they said they would recommend this appointment be not a member of a political party. Number 2, does the present commission prohibit incumbency from being considered in the formation of any new districts? Number 3, has the commission entertained proposals from the public for review? Number 4, did the legislature solicit or accept any applications from Onondaga County citizens that had interest in sitting on the commission? There are many more questions, including did the legislature solicit mathematicians or technology experts who are able to draw fair maps to serve on the commission? This process needs more time, as many have testified during these recent hearings. There is no need to rush this through before Election Day. New maps do not need to be available until early 2023. In 2020, more than 1,500 Onondaga County citizens signed a petition in favor of a nonpartisan redistricting process. We have not given up. People, not politicians, should draw these maps. I apologize, I had not had time to look at these maps. I did see one set online, and it was very difficult to read because of the size. Thank you very much.
Next is Michelle Gagne.
Gagne.
Thank you.
Thank you. I too need glasses to read. So, hello everyone. I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak and be able to share with you some of our thoughts in regards to what's occurring. So my name again is Michelle Gagne. I am a town of Onondaga resident, proud Onondaga resident. I graduated from West Genesee High School. I raised 2 boys in this area. I am active, curious about things that are impacting all of us. So just to share with all of you that my background, I'm coming from a background that personally for the last 25 years I've worked in industry, where I work as a process improvement specialist, where I lead projects, where it has a major impact on different stakeholders. So for instance, just to share, typically when we run a project, and I know this has been a common theme tonight relative to the process. So I wanted to share typically what we do in industry, especially when it's impacting so many of us, so many of the constituents, is when we lead a project, we typically have numerous stakeholders who are vested in this change. And because of that, we gather feedback proactively before we start to develop these type of solutions. We methodically assess what can be done to improve these areas, listening to all sides. I enjoyed hearing some of the words that were used tonight: nonpartisan, fair, thoughtful. We also develop a solution that is successful because it is based on all of this feedback. Best practices, thoughtful, it may not be perfect, but it is transparent, and all of our stakeholders are engaged. So I personally am a little taken aback by all of this, and I've heard it tonight, that we have an election next Tuesday, and instead our energy is being directed to something that we have had on the plate for 2 years. So all of you are our community leaders, constituents supposed to be representing us. So I'm a little taken aback that as an effective leader, that we have chosen not to solicit this type of feedback, and I like what someone said earlier, even have them on the committee. So I'm curious, and I guess I would like to leave with questions here since it's not give and take. Why then do we quickly go through these type of changes, these type of improvements, if may be, that are negatively impacting? And my greater concern is if this is characteristic and descriptive of this particular solution, my concern is all the other decisions that are being made by our county community leaders. Very concerned. So if I can please leave here with at least a plea to please consider in the future to be more thoughtful and engage all of us. Thank you.
Next we have Denise Andrette.
Very good.
Got it? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Stakeholders' glasses, too. So, my name is Denise Andrette. I live in Lynn Court in County Legislative District 5, better known as the Lobster Claw, which makes it the poster child of everything that's wrong with gerrymandering our maps. I'm intrigued that the Lobster Claw appears to be gone, but I don't like either map. Part of my dilemma with the 5th district is that it keeps splitting off little pieces of the north side, and that includes the 4th County Ledge District gets a little piece of the north side, the 7th County District. Whether any of that is being taken care of, I think that's part of this thoughtful process that ought to happen. And my current legislator broke her promise to support fair districting. I'm tired of this. I'm frustrated and disappointed in this process. And I agree that this needs to slow down and it must be nonpartisan if people in our county are going to feel confident about this process. And I just want to say, I don't like either map that's proposed right now. And that's another reason for the brakes, and let's have a real nonpartisan group looking at this, sharing what they're starting to do, because I live in the 4th Ward of the town of Salina. We're cut off from the county ledge person, the 4th district person, and we don't see the 5th Ward person. This seems to be a common leitmotif. And that is a problem for the town of Salina, that we're split. It isn't beneficial like it works in Camillus. This works against the area. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. Do something for all of us.
Christopher Hess.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I actually do not have any prepared words. I kind of wanted to come in here and get a sense for what everybody else was saying first. I, of course, have my opinions, much like many of you do. I actually want to echo just your opinion. I really don't like either map as well. Not to say that one map is necessarily better than the other. I certainly would feel that number 2 is better if I had a choice. But the reality is I don't. And many of us here don't have a choice. We have a process that's being pushed through without any public discourse, maps for the first time being seen in a public forum. They were available online earlier, but reality is this is being pushed way, way too fast. And we don't even know why. We're not getting a good answer as to the why it's happening, just that it is. The issue that I have with politics today, as it stands, is that they've become identity politics. It's no longer about what's best for the people, it's about what's best for party. And I don't think that's anything new, but I think what's happened now is that there's this brazen need for us to just ignore the truth. The truth being is that they're trying to split the city up. They're stretching out election districts so that each one of them grabs a piece of the city. So that you can take a population that is overwhelmingly Democratic and stretch it out into the rural areas and draw in more Republican voters. And nobody's talking about that publicly. That's not being said publicly. Never mind the fact that every Republican legislator at the county level signed a Fair Maps pledge. I don't care what words they use to explain why they didn't follow through with their pledge. They lied. They signed a document with their name and they lied. And I don't understand for the life of me why we don't use that word. A lie is a lie is a lie. Hiding it behind the word politics is not okay. I would like to thank Representative Callahan here in town of Camillus for speaking first. I appreciate your words.